I bet you've thought about it, maybe late at night while you're working, or just chatting with your friends. The big question, is my job safe from AI? With artificial intelligence moving so fast, that question, well, it isn't science fiction anymore, is it? It's a real, pressing concern for just about everyone. Look, it's a question that can be genuinely unsettling. I get it. It doesn't matter if you're just starting your career or you've been at it for decades. But what if we could move past the anxiety and just look at the actual data? The good news is we can, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So, a massive report just dropped from a major AI research lab, and it is packed with data that cuts right through all the hype and speculation. This isn't some guess about the future with a crystal ball. It's about analyzing what's happening right now. So let's dive in and unpack what they found. Okay, but before we get to the juicy stuff, the actual job list, we have to talk about how they figured all this out. Because the method they used, it's everything. It's what makes this real and not just another opinion piece. The whole study comes down to this one big idea, the AI win rate. It sounds a little technical, but it's actually pretty simple. Imagine you give the same job to a human pro and to an AI. If the AI does a better job, that's a win for AI. The win rate is just the percentage of times that happens. And here's the magic number from the report. If that rate is over 50%, well, that's when a profession is officially in the high-risk zone. So how'd they actually get these numbers? Well, it was a pretty robust three-step process. First, they brought in legit experts. We're talking people with over a decade of experience to create real-world tasks for their specific fields. Then, they set up a competition, other human professionals versus a bunch of different AI models. Finally, those same experts came back to judge the results. Blinded, of course. They tossed out any low-quality work and only compared the best of the best. A true head-to-head battle. All right, you get how they did it. Now for the moment you've been waiting for, the results. They looked at 44 different jobs across 9 big industries. So, who came out on top? And right out of the gate, the single hardest-hit profession in this entire study is the software developer. I mean, look at that number. AI is just crushing it here, with several models hitting win rates between 60 and 70%. And, it kind of makes sense, right? Writing code, building apps, it's all about logic, patterns, and established languages. And that's exactly where today's AI really shines. But hold on. Before you assume every job in the tech world is in trouble, the data tells a much more nuanced story. Because in that very same industry, there's another role that's, well, let's just say it's telling a completely different story. And that job is video editor. The win rate for AI here is super low. And this is a perfect example of the nuance in this whole thing. Yeah, sure, an AI can do simple cuts and transitions, no problem. But can it feel the rhythm of a scene? Can it understand the emotional punch of a perfectly timed edit? That's the art of it. And that, it turns out, is still very human. Okay, now we're getting to the really wild stuff. The results that make you go, wait, what? The kind of findings that completely flip the script on what most of us probably thought about which white-collar jobs were safe. Just look at this showdown. For years, everybody said accountants were toast. It's just numbers and rules, right? But nope, the AI win rate is surprisingly low. Why? Because being an accountant isn't just about math, it's about judgment, ethics, and at the end of the day, a human has to sign their name on it and be responsible. On the flip side, who would have thought police and detective work would have a high win rate? But it does. And that's likely because AI is just unbelievably good at finding the needle in a haystack, sifting through mountains of data to find patterns and connect dots way faster than any person could. So what's the number one most at-risk job in the whole study? Get this, rental counter clerks with a massive 81% win rate. It just goes to show that jobs built on really simple, standardized, repetitive transactions are incredibly vulnerable. I mean, you've seen the self-service kiosks at the airport, right? For this job, the future isn't coming. It's already here. The details inside a single field are also super interesting. Let's take healthcare. A practical nurse, whose job can often involve more administrative and database tasks, actually had a high AI win rate. But a registered nurse, an RN, who's right there with the patient providing hands-on, empathetic care, their win rate was super low. It's all about that human touch.
And how about the world of finance? This chart basically tells the whole story. See that huge chunk for customer service reps? That's a 70% win rate for AI. Definitely a high-risk area. But now look at the other roles. Financial managers, investment analysts, personal advisors, all low risk for now. What do they have in common? Things that require deep client trust, making big strategic calls, and long-term planning.
So when you step back and look at all this data, a clear picture really starts to form. There's a pattern here connecting all these AI-resistant jobs. So what exactly is our human advantage? It pretty much boils down to these 4 key things. First, that real deep human connection. Think about the empathy of a therapist or the trust built with a financial advisor over years. Second, being physically present. A surgeon's hands in an operating room, a construction manager on a busy site. AI can't do that. Third is that next-level creativity and aesthetic sense, the unique vision of a film director or an architect. And last, but definitely not least, is responsibility. Jobs where a human being has to put their name on the line, legally and ethically. That's a big one.
So what's the takeaway here? What are we supposed to do with all this information? Well, the point isn't to be scared. The point is to see this data as a roadmap. It shows us where we need to focus our skills for the future.
And we have to remember something really, really important. These numbers are not set in stone. This is just a snapshot of today. The biggest game changer moving forward isn't just how good AI gets. It's how quickly we as professionals decide to use these tools. The people who learn to use AI as a co-pilot, not as a competitor, are the ones who are going to redefine their own fields.
This gets you thinking bigger too. It's not just about our jobs today. It's about how we're preparing our kids for the world they're going to inherit. It's not enough to just teach them facts anymore, is it? We have to teach them how to be curious, how to love learning, and to always be asking why. So I'll leave you with this final thought. AI is getting amazing at doing the what. It can write the code, analyze the data, and give you the straightforward answer. Our job, our truly human value, is going to come from mastering the why and the how. Why are we doing this in the first place? And how can we do it in a way that's more creative, more ethical, and more deeply human? That's the question we all need to start answering for ourselves.